I've never been denied anything in my 19 years. Never cleaned up my own messes. Never faced real consequences. Then my parents hired Elena, and suddenly, everything I thought I knew about power, control, and love was completely wrong. My name is Sophia Wentworth, and for 19 years, I've lived in a world made of marble and money. The mansion sits high in the hills, overlooking the city like a crown on a queen's head. Crystal chandeliers hang from ceilings so high your voice echoes when you call for the staff. My father's real estate empire built this kingdom, and I've been its princess since birth. Designer clothes fill closets the size of most people's bedrooms. My credit cards have no limits. My parents attend charity galas and business dinners almost every night, leaving me to rule this empty palace alone. Well, not alone. There are servants, lots of them. They clean, they cook, they jump when I snap my fingers. That's what they're paid for, right? I throw parties that last until dawn. I buy whatever catches my eye. I've never cleaned up after myself, never cooked a meal, never faced a single real consequence for anything. Why would I? I'm Sophia Wentworth. The world bends to my will, or at least, it did, until yesterday. I was lounging on the grand staircase, sipping an iced vanilla latte perfectly made by the kitchen staff, of course when my mother swept through the foyer in her Chanel suit, checking her phone. "Sophia, darling," she said without looking up. "Your father and I have hired someone new." I barely glanced at her. "Another maid? About time. Rosa's been complaining about the workload." "Not a maid." My mother's heels clicked across the marble as she headed toward the door. "A household manager. Someone to help structure your days." I sat up straighter. Structure my days? What does that mean? But she was already gone, the door closing behind her with an expensive, soft click. My father had left even earlier, as usual. I was alone again with my latte and my confusion. Structure my days? I didn't need structure. I needed freedom, parties, fun. What I didn't need was another employee hovering around, trying to manage me. I forgot about the conversation until the doorbell rang that afternoon. I was in the sitting room, scrolling through my phone, planning that weekend's party. The staff would answer the door, they always did. But something made me look up when I heard the voices in the foyer, and that's when I saw her. She stepped into my home like she owned it. That was my first thought. Not timid, not grateful for the job, not bowing her head like the others. She walked in with her chin high, her posture perfect, her green eyes sweeping across the chandelier, the staircase, the marble floors, and then landing on me. Elena Kovac. I didn't know her name yet, but I'd never forget that moment. She was 25, though she carried herself with the confidence of someone much older. Sleek black hair pulled into a flawless bun, sharp cheekbones that could cut glass, full lips pressed into a composed line. She wore a simple black dress with a crisp white-collar professional, elegant, fitted perfectly to her curved frame. Everything about her screamed control, power, grace. She was beautiful, stunningly beautiful, and I hated that I noticed. My stomach did something strange when our eyes met. A flip, a twist, something I couldn't name. It wasn't just her looks, though. God, she was gorgeous. It was the way she looked at me, like she could see right through my designer outfit, my perfect makeup, my carefully constructed princess persona. Like she was assessing me and finding me lacking. I didn't like that feeling. At all. I stood up, tossing my blonde hair over my shoulder, putting on my best entitled smirk. I walked toward her slowly, deliberately, making sure she saw my Louboutin heels, my Gucci handbag casually tossed on the antique side table. "So," I said, my voice dripping with casual superiority, "you're the new hire?" Her lips curved slightly. Not a smile, something sharper. "I'm Elena Kovac, your new household manager." That accent, Eastern European, smooth, precise, each word carefully chosen. It sent an unexpected shiver down my spine. Household manager, I repeated, drawing out the words mockingly. That's a fancy title for staff. I'm not staff in the way you're thinking, Miss Wentworth. She didn't move, didn't fidget, didn't break eye contact. Your parents hired me to bring structure and accountability to this household. Specifically, to you. The words hit me like cold water. Accountability? To me? I laughed. Loud, deliberate, making sure she heard my disdain. Accountability? That's hilarious. Look around, Elena. I gestured at the mansion. This is my house. You work for my family. That means you work for me. So how about you start by getting me another latte? This one's getting warm. I held out my cup, waiting for her to take it like the others always did. She didn't move. No, Elena said simply. The word hung in the air between us like a challenge. Excuse me? I felt heat rising in my cheeks. No one said no to me. Ever. I said no. She took a step closer. I could smell her perfume now. Lavender, clean, and sharp. I'm not your servant, Sophia. I'm here to manage this household and establish boundaries. Your parents are concerned about your behavior. The parties, the spending, the complete lack of responsibility. I'm here to change that. My heart was pounding now. Not just from anger, though I was angry. Something else was mixing in. The way she said my name. The way she stood so close, invading my space without fear. The way her green eyes held mine, unflinching. You can't be serious, I said, but my voice came out less confident than I wanted. Try to manage me, and I'll have you fired by dinner. One phone call to Daddy, and you're done. Your father already knows my methods, Elena replied calmly. In fact, he hired me specifically for them. I specialize in working with young adults who've never learned discipline or responsibility. You're not my first spoiled heiress, Sophia, and you won't be my last. Spoiled. The word stung more than I expected. I'm not spoiled, I snapped. I'm privileged. There's a difference. Then prove it. She gestured to the latte still in my hand. You don't want that anymore? Fine. Walk to the kitchen and pour it out yourself. Clean the cup, put it away. Show me you're capable of the most basic task. Was she insane? That's what we pay people for. No, Elena said, her voice dropping lower, more intense. That's what lazy people say to avoid growing up. You're 19 years old, Sophia. When will you start taking care of yourself? Something about her words, her tone, the way she looked at me, it cracked something inside my chest. Not breaking, not yet, just fracturing. Like she'd found a weak spot in my armor I didn't know existed. I wanted to scream at her. I wanted to throw the latte in her face. I wanted her out of my house, but I also couldn't look away from her. Couldn't stop noticing the strength in her shoulders, the certainty in her voice, the way she seemed completely unafraid of me. Everyone was afraid of me, afraid of losing their job, afraid of my parents' money, afraid of my tantrums, but not Elena. And God help me, that was magnetic. You know what? I said, my voice shaking slightly. Fine. You want to see me do something? Watch this. I turned and walked toward the marble floor near the foyer. Then, deliberately, I tipped my latte cup. The brown liquid splashed across the pristine white marble, spreading in a pool at my feet. There, I said, turning back to her with a triumphant smirk. Now you've got something to do. Welcome to the Wentworth Mansion, Elena. Hope you're good at cleaning up messes. I expected shock, outrage, maybe fear that she'd already failed at her job on day one. Instead, Elena's expression didn't change. She just looked at the spilled coffee, then back at me, and her lips curved into that sharp, dangerous, almost smile again. Interesting choice, she said quietly. She walked past me to a supply closet I didn't even know we had, returned with a mop, a bucket, cleaning spray, and rags. Then she set them all down on the floor right in front of me. What are you doing? I asked. Giving you the tools you need, Elena said. You made the mess. You clean it up. I stared at her. Are you kidding? That's your job. My job is to manage this household and teach you responsibility. So here's your first lesson, Sophia. You create a mess, you fix it. No servants. No shortcuts. You. I'm not cleaning that. My voice rose, echoing off the high ceilings. Then it stays there, Elena said with a shrug. Until you do. And if your parents ask why there's a coffee stain on their expensive marble floor, I'll tell them exactly what happened. That their daughter deliberately made a mess and refused to take responsibility for it. They won't care, won't they? Elena tilted her head, studying me. Your father specifically told me he's tired of your behavior. Your mother said she's embarrassed by you. They hired me because they want change, Sophia. Real change. And I deliver results. The words hit harder than any slap could have. Embarrassed by me? Tired of me? Were they really? Or was Elena just saying that to manipulate me? But deep down, I knew the truth. My parents barely looked at me anymore. They'd stopped asking about my life months ago. They just signed checks and left me alone in this massive, empty house. Maybe they really were embarrassed. The thought made something twist painfully in my chest. I hate you, I whispered, surprised by how much I meant it, and how much I didn't. You don't know me well enough to hate me yet, Elena replied. But you will know me, starting now. Clean up the coffee, Sophia, or face the consequences. What consequences? I challenged. You can't actually do anything to me. Elena pulled her phone from her pocket. I have full authorization from your parents to implement appropriate consequences for your behavior. Would you like to see the contract they signed? It's very detailed. I can restrict your credit cards, confiscate your car keys, cancel your social events, limit your allowances. I can make your comfortable little world very uncomfortable very quickly. My blood ran cold. You're bluffing! Try me. We stood there, locked in a staring contest. Me with my designer outfit and my crumbling confidence, her with her perfect composure and her unshakable certainty. I could feel my world shifting beneath my feet. This woman, this beautiful, infuriating, terrifying woman was serious. She really thought she could control me. And the worst part? A small voice in my head whispered that maybe I wanted her to. No, that was insane. I was Sophia Wentworth. I didn't bow to anyone. Fine, I said through gritted teeth. I grabbed the mop, dunked it in the bucket, and started slopping water across the floor. It was clumsy, messy, probably making things worse. I'd never mopped anything in my life. Elena watched silently, not helping, not mocking, just observing. When I finished and the floor looked terrible, streaky and still slightly brown, I threw the mop back into the bucket with a splash. Happy now? I demanded. It's a start, Elena said. Tomorrow morning, you'll learn to do it properly. 6 a.m. Meet me in the kitchen. 6 a.m.? I don't wake up until noon. You do now. She picked up the bucket and cleaning supplies. Your new schedule starts tomorrow, Sophia. Regular sleep, regular meals, regular responsibilities. Your parents wanted structure. That's what I'm giving you. I'll call my father right now. Please do, Elena interrupted calmly. He's expecting it. He'll tell you exactly what I just told you. The difference is, he'll be disappointed that you're already fighting this. Is that what you want? More disappointment? The words cut deep, deeper than they should have. I stood there, dripping with defeat and confusion and something else I couldn't name, watching Elena walk away with her perfect posture and her complete confidence. As she disappeared around the corner, I realized something terrifying. For the first time in my life, I'd met someone I couldn't control. Someone who wasn't afraid of me. Someone who saw through every layer of privilege and entitlement to the lost, lonely girl underneath. And even more terrifying? Part of me was glad. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in my king-sized bed, surrounded by silk pillows and designer sheets. staring at the ceiling while my mind replayed every moment with Elena. The way she'd looked at me, the way she'd said my name, the way she'd refused to bend, refused to break, refused to treat me like the princess I'd always been. Who did she think she was? More importantly, why couldn't I stop thinking about her? I grabbed my phone at 2 a.m., pulled up my father's contact, my thumb hovering over the call button. One conversation. That's all it would take. I'd tell him Elena was overstepping, being inappropriate, trying to control me. He'd fire her immediately, but I remembered what she'd said. He's expecting it. He'll be disappointed. I threw my phone across the bed. At 5:45 a.m., my alarm went off. I'd actually set an alarm. Me, Sophia Wentworth, who hadn't seen a morning before 11 a.m. in years. I could ignore it. Stay in bed, show Elena she had no power over me. But curiosity or something stronger pulled me out of bed. I showed up in the kitchen at 6:02 a.m., still in my silk pajamas. No makeup, my blonde hair a mess. If she wanted me at 6 in the morning, she'd get the real, unglamorous version of me. Elena was already there, dressed in a crisp white blouse and black slacks, her hair in that perfect bun again. She looked like she'd been awake for hours, fresh, composed, beautiful in the early morning light streaming through the kitchen windows. I hated that I noticed. Again. "You're late," she said without looking up from the coffee maker. "By 2 minutes. Late is late." She poured 2 cups of coffee black, no sugar, and slid one across the marble counter toward me. "Sit. I don't take orders, Sophia." Her green eyes met mine, and that strange pull happened again. That flip in my stomach. "Sit. Please." The please was new, softer. It disarmed me more than any command could have. I sat. "Today, we're going to talk about your life," Elena said, settling onto the stool across from me. "Your real life, not the parties and the shopping. What do you actually want, Sophia? What makes you happy?" The question caught me completely off guard. What does that have to do with anything? Everything. She sipped her coffee, never breaking eye contact. "You're 19. No job, no school, no direction. You throw parties to fill the emptiness. You spend money to feel something. You treat people badly because you're angry at the world. Am I wrong?" Each word was a knife, precise and painful. "You don't know anything about me," I said, but my voice cracked. "Then tell me." Elena leaned forward. "Tell me who Sophia Wentworth really is. Underneath all the privilege and the attitude, who are you?" No one had ever asked me that. Not my parents, not my so-called friends, not anyone. I opened my mouth to snap back with something cutting, something mean. But what came out was, "I don't know." The admission hung in the air between us. Elena's expression softened slightly. Just slightly. "That's the first honest thing you've said to me." "Why do you even care?" I asked. And I hated how small my voice sounded. "You're just here for a paycheck. Why does it matter who I am?" "Because I don't do this job for money," Elena said quietly. "I do it because I see potential in people, even when they can't see it themselves. Especially then." Something in her voice made my chest tight. "You think I have potential? I think you're wasting it." She stood, walking around the counter until she was beside me, close enough that I could smell that lavender perfume again. "You've been given everything, Sophia. Money, opportunities, freedom. And you're using it all to destroy yourself slowly. Why?" "I'm not destroying myself. You party until you can't remember the night. You don't eat real meals. You don't sleep properly. You have no goals, no purpose, no genuine connections. You're 19, and you're already empty inside. I've seen it before. It doesn't end well." Tears burned behind my eyes. I refused to let them fall. "You don't understand what it's like." "To be rich and neglected?" Elena's voice was sharp now. "To have parents who give you everything except their time and attention? To fill a mansion with people who don't actually care about you? You're right. I don't understand that. She paused, and something flickered across her face. Something painful. I understand being poor and neglected, she continued, quieter now. I grew up in a tiny apartment in Prague with a mother who worked 3 jobs and still couldn't keep the lights on. I wore the same clothes for years. I went to bed hungry more nights than I can count. I had nothing, Sophia. Nothing but a determination to make something of myself. I stared at her, seeing her differently now. The strength in her wasn't just confidence, it was survival. So when I see someone like you, with every advantage in the world, throwing it all away, Elena shook her head. It breaks my heart, because I know what you could be, what you could do, if you just tried. What if I don't know how to try? The words came out as barely a whisper. Elena reached out slowly, giving me time to pull away. When I didn't, she placed her hand over mine on the counter. Her skin was warm, her touch gentle but grounding. Then I'll teach you, she said. That's why I'm here. We stayed like that for a moment, her hand on mine, something electric and confusing passing between us. I should have pulled away, should have made some cutting remark, should have reminded her of the employee-employer boundary. But I didn't want to. For the first time in years, I felt like someone actually saw me. Not my last name, not my bank account, not the perfect image I projected. Just me. Okay, I said finally. Where do we start? Elena smiled. A real smile this time, and it transformed her whole face. We start with breakfast, a real breakfast that you're going to help me make. The next 2 weeks were the hardest of my life. Elena restructured everything. I woke at 6 a.m. every day. We made breakfast together, and by together, I mean she taught me how to crack eggs without getting shells everywhere, how to make toast without burning it, how to brew coffee properly. Simple things. Things I should have known. After breakfast, I had chores. Real chores. Making my own bed, doing my own laundry, cleaning my own bathroom. At first, I complained constantly, but Elena never wavered. She'd stand there with her arms crossed and that patient expression, waiting for me to finish. This is ridiculous, I'd say, scrubbing the bathtub. We have people for this. You need to understand the value of work, Elena would reply. The people who clean your messes are real people with real lives. Would you treat them differently if you understood how hard their job is? And slowly, shamefully, I realized she was right. I'd never once thanked Rosa for cleaning my room. Never acknowledged any of the staff except to demand things from them. I started saying thank you. Started asking them about their days. The shock on their faces the first few times broke something inside me. In the afternoons, Elena made me read. Your mind is as important as your hands, she'd say, handing me classic novels, philosophy books, memoirs. We'd sit in the library, a room I'd never even used, and she'd ask me what I thought about what I'd read. No one had ever cared about my thoughts before. The evenings were different, softer. We'd cook dinner together, and she'd tell me stories about Prague, about her childhood, about the path that led her here. I found myself hanging on every word, watching the way her face lit up when she talked about her mother, the way her eyes grew sad when she mentioned the father who'd left, and I told her things too. About the loneliness, about how my parents were more like distant benefactors than family, about how every friendship I had felt transactional, people wanting access to my money or my parties, never actually wanting me. That's why you test people, Elena said one evening as we chopped vegetables. You're cruel to see who'll stay, who'll push back, who'll see past the act. Is that what you think I am? I asked quietly. An act? Elena set down her knife and turned to face me fully. We were close in the small kitchen space, closer than we needed to be. I think you've been performing for so long, you forgot who you really are underneath, she said. But I see glimpses. When you laugh at something unexpected, when you're kind to the staff now, when you're proud of yourself for finishing a task, those moments are real. That's the Sophia I'm trying to reach. My heart was pounding. She was so close. I could see the gold flecks in her green eyes, could count the faint freckles across her nose that her makeup usually hid. "Why do you care so much?" I asked. "Really?" Elena hesitated. Something vulnerable crossed her face. "Because you remind me of someone I used to know. Someone who was drowning and didn't know how to ask for help." "What happened to them?" "I wasn't there to help them." Her voice was tight with old pain. "I won't make that mistake again." I wanted to ask more, but she turned back to the vegetables, the moment closing. That night, lying in bed, I realized something terrifying. I wasn't just grateful for Elena's structure and discipline. I wasn't just admiring her strength. I was falling for her. It happened on a Tuesday, 3 weeks after Elena arrived. I'd woken early without an alarm this time, and found her in the garden. She didn't know I was watching as she tended to the flowers my mother had planted and forgotten. Her movements careful and precise. The morning sun caught her black hair, and she'd traded her usual bun for a loose ponytail. She looked younger, softer, beautiful. I must have made a sound because she turned, caught me staring. "Sophia? Is everything all right?" I stepped into the garden, my bare feet cool on the stone path. "I wanted to thank you." Her eyebrows rose. "For what?" "For not giving up on me. For seeing something in me I didn't see in myself." I moved closer, my heart hammering. For being the first person in years to actually care. Elena stood, brushing dirt from her hands. "Sophia, I know this is complicated," I said quickly, before I lost my courage. "I know you work for my family. I know I'm younger. I know there are 1,000 reasons this is a bad idea. But Elena, Stop." Her voice was gentle but firm. She closed the distance between us, standing so close I could see her pulse jumping at her throat. "You need to be very sure about what you're feeling. Your life has changed dramatically in 3 weeks. It's natural to feel attached to the person who's been guiding that change. You think I'm confused?" I felt stung. That I can't tell the difference between gratitude and what? Elena challenged softly. "Say it." The words stuck in my throat, but I forced it out. "Attraction. I'm attracted to you. I think about you constantly. The way you stand, the way you speak, the way you look at me like I matter. Like I'm more than just a spoiled heiress." Elena's breath caught. I watched her carefully, seeing the war play out across her face. Professional distance fighting against something else. Something I desperately hoped was mutual. "You do matter," she finally said. "But Sophia, I'm here to help you grow, to find yourself, not to become another crutch, another way to avoid dealing with your real issues." "You're not a crutch," I insisted. You're the first real thing in my life. Everyone else wants something from me. Money, connections, status. You just want me to be better. Do you know how rare that is?" "I can't." Elena's voice cracked slightly. "Your parents hired me. There's a professional boundary. My parents are never here." The words burst out of me, loud and raw. "They don't care about professional boundaries. They don't care about anything except appearances. They hired you to fix their embarrassing daughter so they wouldn't have to deal with me themselves." "Well, congratulations. You fixed me. Now what?" Elena stared at me, something breaking in her expression. "You're not fixed, Sophia. You're just beginning. And this, whatever this is between us, could destroy all your progress. Or it could be part of my progress," I countered. "Learning to be honest about what I want, to fight for something real instead of just taking what's easy." We stood there in the garden, the morning sun warming the air around us, flowers blooming at our feet. The moment stretched, electric and terrifying. "I care about you," Elena finally whispered. "More than I should. More than is professional or appropriate. And that terrifies me, Sophia. Because I can't be objective anymore. I can't be sure I'm making decisions that are best for you versus decisions that are best for this. My heart soared and sank at the same time. She felt it too, but she was fighting it. What if they're the same thing? I asked. What if what's best for me is letting myself feel something real for the first time in my life? You're 19. Stop using my age as an excuse, I said firmly. I'm an adult. I'm making an adult choice. Yes, I was a disaster 3 weeks ago. Yes, you've helped me change. But this isn't gratitude, Elena. This is me, finally understanding what it feels like to want someone for all the right reasons. Elena reached out slowly, her hand trembling slightly as she brushed a strand of hair from my face. The touch sent electricity through my entire body. You don't even know me, she said softly. Not really. You know the professional version, the controlled version. Then show me the real version, I challenged. Trust me, the way you've been asking me to trust you. Something shifted in her eyes. A decision being made, a wall coming down. I'm messy, Elena said. I have nightmares about my childhood. I work too much because I'm terrified of being poor again. I don't know how to relax. I have exactly 2 friends, and I haven't seen them in months because I'm always working. I'm controlling because chaos scares me. I kissed her. It wasn't planned. It wasn't smooth. I just stepped forward and pressed my lips to hers, cutting off her self-deprecation with the most honest thing I could offer. For a heartbeat, Elena froze. Then she kissed me back. Her hands came up to cup my face, gentle and sure, and the kiss deepened. It was soft and searching. Nothing like the careless kisses I'd shared with boys at parties just to prove I could. This was different. This meant something. When we finally pulled apart, both breathless, Elena rested her forehead against mine. This is a terrible idea, she whispered. Probably, I agreed. I could lose my job. I won't let that happen. We'd have to be careful. Secret, at least for now. I can do careful. I smiled. You've been teaching me patience, remember? Elena laughed, the sound surprised and genuine. You've been a terrible student. Hey! I pulled back in, mock offense, but I was grinning. She caught my hand, lacing our fingers together. The gesture felt more intimate than the kiss, somehow. If we do this, and I mean if we do it right. No rushing, no games. Complete honesty. Ah, I can do that, I said seriously. I want to do that. With you. Elena searched my face for a long moment. Whatever she saw there must have satisfied her because she squeezed my hand and nodded. Okay, she said. But your growth comes first. Always. If I think this is hurting your progress, it won't. I squeezed back. You make me want to be better, Elena. Not because you demand it, but because I want to be someone worthy of you. Her eyes grew suspiciously bright. You already are, Sophia. You just couldn't see it before. We stood in the garden, hands linked, the morning sun climbing higher in the sky. Everything was complicated. Her job, my family, the power dynamics we'd have to navigate carefully. But for the first time in my 19 years, I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. So what happens now? I asked. Elena smiled. That beautiful, real smile that transformed her whole face. Now? Now you help me finish tending these flowers. Then we make breakfast. Then we continue your reading. Life doesn't stop just because everything changed. That's very practical of you. One of us has to be. She tugged me toward the flower beds. Come on. I'll teach you the difference between roses and weeds. I know the difference between roses and weeds. Do you, though? I laughed, really laughed, and joined her in the garden. As we worked side by side, our hands occasionally brushing, stealing glances at each other in the morning light, I realized something profound. For years, I'd thought freedom meant no rules, no boundaries, no consequences. I'd thought being powerful meant never having to answer to anyone. But real freedom was this: choosing to be better, choosing to work hard, choosing to care about someone enough to be vulnerable with them. And real power? Real power was having someone look at you Not your money, not your name, not your potential, and choose you anyway. The messy, complicated, still growing you. Elena had given me that. And now, terrifyingly and wonderfully, we were going to figure out what came next, together. That evening, we sat at the kitchen counter with dinner we'd made together, actual dinner, not something the staff prepared. Pasta from scratch, sauce that had simmered for hours, salad with vegetables from the garden. My parents are coming home tomorrow, I said, twirling pasta on my fork. First time in 3 weeks. They want to check on my progress. Elena's hand found mine under the counter. Are you nervous? Terrified, I admitted. What if they don't notice the changes? What if they do notice and don't care? They'll notice, Elena said confidently. You're not the same girl I met 3 weeks ago. Because of you. Because of you, she corrected. I just gave you the tools. You did the work. I turned my hand over, lacing our fingers together properly. We should tell them. About us. Elena's eyes widened. Sophia, not everything. Not yet. But they should know. I want you to stay. As more than just a household manager. I met her gaze steadily. I'm serious about this. About you. About proving that I'm not the disaster they think I am. You were never a disaster, Elena said firmly. You were lost. There's a difference. I'm not lost anymore. I brought her hand to my lips, pressing a soft kiss to her knuckles. I found exactly what I needed. Who I needed. Elena's professional composure cracked, her eyes shining with emotion. You're going to make this very difficult for me, aren't you? Absolutely, I grinned. I learned from the best how to be stubborn and persistent. She laughed, shaking her head. I've created a monster. You've created someone who knows what she wants and isn't afraid to fight for it. I grew serious again. Is that okay? Me fighting for you? Elena leaned in, pressing a soft kiss to my forehead. Sophia Wentworth, you can fight for me all you want. Just promise me one thing. Anything. Don't stop fighting for yourself, too. Don't lose this growth, this self-awareness, this better version of you. Promise me that if we do this, if we navigate all the complications and the secrecy and the judgment, you won't let it derail your progress. I understood what she was really asking. Don't make me your whole world. Don't stop growing just because you think you've found what you needed. I promise, I said solemnly. But Elena, you're not a distraction from my growth. You're part of it. Learning to love someone healthy, to be honest, to be vulnerable, that's all part of becoming who I'm supposed to be. Her smile was radiant. When did you become so wise? I had a good teacher. We finished dinner in comfortable silence, hands linked, stealing glances and soft smiles. The mansion that had always felt like an empty, cold museum suddenly felt like home. Later, as Elena walked me to my room, a new routine we'd established. Though tonight it felt charged with different meanings, she stopped at my door. I should go, she said, though she made no move to leave. You should, I agreed, not letting go of her hand. This is dangerous. If your parents find out before we're ready to tell them, I know. I stepped closer. But I'm not scared anymore. Not of them, not of consequences, not of anything. Because whatever happens, I know who I am now. I know what I want, and that's worth fighting for. Elena cupped my face with both hands, her thumbs stroking my cheekbones. You're extraordinary. You know that? I'm learning to believe it. I smiled. Thanks to you. She kissed me again, soft and sweet and full of promise. When we finally pulled apart, both reluctant, I felt like I was floating. Good night, Sophia, Elena whispered. Good night, Elena. I watched her walk down the hallway, her silhouette graceful and strong. Before she turned the corner, she looked back, caught me watching, and smiled. I closed my door and leaned against it, my heart full in a way it had never been before. 3 weeks ago, I was a spoiled, angry, lost girl who treated people like possessions and filled her emptiness with parties and spending. Tonight, I was someone different. Someone who knew the value of work, who appreciated the people around her, who had goals and purpose. Someone who was falling in love with a woman who saw past every defense and loved her anyway. My phone buzzed with a text from Elena. "Sleep well. Tomorrow's a new chapter." I smiled and replied, "Can't wait to write it. With you." Because that was the truth. For the first time in my life, I was excited about my future. Not because of my family's money or my last name or the easy privileges I'd always taken for granted, but because I'd found something real. Someone real. And together, we were going to figure out who Sophia Wentworth could really become. The princess had finally grown up, and the best part? The story was just beginning. So there you have it, the story of how I went from entitled disaster to, well, someone I actually like. Elena sees me for who I really am, and that's terrifying and beautiful all at once. What would you do in my situation? Tell my parents the truth or keep it secret a little longer? Drop your advice in the comments. I could actually use it. If you want to see how this all plays out, subscribe to Love Beyond Rules. My story isn't over yet. Not even close.